And we're back. Good morning from the office. North Georgia's Only Live. I'm your host, BKP, North Georgia's Only Live online morning show. We just wrapped up Carla's Corner every Tuesday morning. And if you want to find out the things happening in Gilmer County and the North Georgia area, go to the Gilmer County Chamber website. Next up with me, my guest, Jennifer Hazelton. Jennifer is the Trump Campaign Georgia Communication Director. Lonnie, can we bring Jennifer in? Are we in? We good there, Lonnie? Okay. We're always trying something new here. Lonnie's working on my screen. Good morning, Jennifer. How are you today? We have a long list. First of all, let me have you give our viewers a report on actually what's taking place in the Trump campaign in Georgia, how things stand in Georgia, some of the polling numbers, or what you're seeing out there as you're traveling the state and talking to the media groups.
American voters and Georgia voters are really responding well to Mr. Trump's message. They understand that the Trump-Pence campaign is the campaign that offers the best possible future for Americans, plan for economic growth, strong border, strong national defense, and we're starting to see that in the polls now, which is really exciting.
Well, I know you just, I got a message from Rick Glickard that there was no sound on Jennifer. We're good?
It was a few seconds, but we got it.
A few seconds, okay. Some of our viewers, we have the greatest viewers because they're our tech support. They tell us on our sound. Jennifer, Hillary did have a lead coming out of the convention bounce, and there was a lead that many polls had her up double digits. What do you think has taken place here recently in the last couple weeks? Besides yourself coming on board at the campaign, what has taken place here in the last couple weeks that is eroding her lead in the polls and bringing this to a virtual tie right now?
Well, that's a really, really good question. I think it's a combination of quite a few factors. I think first and foremost, you have Mr. Trump continuing to campaign vigorously across the country in key battleground states, delivering his message, reaching out to all groups. You know, he reached out to Hispanic leaders within the last few weeks. He's been reaching out to African-American voters. He's reaching out to other voters. He is, every day we are out there presenting our message to the American people, and the American people are getting now a chance to hear it. Now that we're, after the convention cycles, the American voters are locking into the race now, and they're hearing it. So that's one. Number two, I think it's the drip, drip, drip of all of the, very unseemly and unsavory news that continues to leak out around Secretary Clinton, her conduct while she was in the State Department, the allegations of pay for play at the State Department. Now they're talking about the 13 BlackBerry devices she had and the 5 iPads, and how the House committee on Benghazi had subpoenaed, one of her BlackBerries, and right after one of her people found out the device was subpoenaed, that's when he hit it with a hammer. He only destroyed it after it had been subpoenaed. This constant flow of negative information about how Secretary Clinton has conducted herself while in office, while she had the public's trust. It's alarming. I think it's alarming to Republicans. I think it's alarming to independents. I think it's even alarming to Democrats. And I think that if you got them behind closed doors, I bet they would even admit that they don't like it. And I think that, people are, the trust that they have in her is eroding. And
You know, when you said, oh, I'm sorry, but when you said alarming to independents, I must agree. It has to be alarming to independents because the same poll you're citing shows that Donald Trump's up 20% over Hillary with independents. And that is the danger. I'm calling it panic in Brooklyn this morning. I think there's panic in Brooklyn because we know, and I think you and I both follow politics close enough, that Donald Trump's going to get X percent from Republicans. Right. Hillary's guaranteed she's going to get X percent from Democrats, and we know that number in play. The important number out there is that independent vote.
Exactly, and they are the deciders, as they always typically are in a presidential election. I just don't know how you can ignore all of this. I mean, you even had Morning Joe on MSNBC this morning. I don't know if you had a chance to see it.
6 a.m., never miss.
and, you know, they are not conservative. I mean, let's just say that.
Exactly.
You know, even they were talking about how shoddy the FBI's investigation of her was and how flawed that investigation is now looking, given all these revelations that keep coming to light. And then you have the fact that her campaign seems intent on hiding her. I mean, yesterday she was out for the first time in weeks after taking a vacation in the Hamptons and fundraising in the Hamptons and Martha's Vineyard with all of her Hollywood friends. And, you know, she hasn't given a press conference in nearly 300 days. And so they were trying to make a nod to that yesterday by having her go back to the back of her press plane and take questions. And she couldn't even get through that without dissolving into a huge coughing fit.
Wait a minute now, Jennifer. Now, she is serious about bringing the press on the plane because, you know, she brought Andrea Mitchell on there. I'm sorry. Andrea Mitchell. Yeah, we're serious now about getting you the information. We brought Andrea Mitchell on the plane. Really?
Did you hear Andrea's question to her on the plane?
Yes. And obviously, Andrea, I know what the C meant.
You know,
trust me.
Say, yes. And it was like, really, Andrea? Critics say? I mean, this isn't just made up, like, detractors who are coming out with it. Please. And even then, with the softballs, she was still like, she couldn't handle it. She dissolved into a coughing fit and had to go to the front of the plane and said she'd be back later. That was the tape that I saw ended at the coughing fit. Whether she came back or not, I couldn't say. I didn't see that tape, but
Jennifer, I have to agree with you. When Morning Joe and what's her name, Brzezinska, when Morning Joe has no choice, I watch every morning at 6 just to see what direction they're going to try to take the narrative, what the narrative of the day is. So I watch at 6 a.m. And when Morning Joe has no choice whatsoever but to address this for 20 minutes, it's bad
for them. I mean, and they, you know, and she, you know, it appears that their strategy is to just, you know, keep her out of the press and try to go into a glide path into the presidency, assuming that, you know, if they don't make any mistakes, if they don't put her out there, and I just don't think the American people are going to be okay with that. And honestly, the American people demand more. They want a vision for their country. They want a vision for their future. Donald Trump is giving them that vision. He is articulating a prosperous vision, economic growth, fair trade agreements, strong national security. And I think that is the vision that most Americans want. And I think most Georgians certainly want.
Well, you know, there's a lot being said this morning, and I don't want to veer off the on direction of staying on the campaign, but a lot being said this morning questioning the conduct and the FBI this morning, actually, in this investigation and in these interviews. There's a lot of questioning around Comey and the FBI today.
Well, you'd be a fool not to question it. I mean, I'm going to even borrow Hillary Clinton in a recent appearance. She was trying to be funny, and she said, when I was back in Arkansas, I heard an expression that I've often used a lot, and she was trying to apply it in a negative way towards Mr. Trump, but I would like to turn that expression back on her. The expression was, if you see a turtle on a fence post, it didn't get there by accident. And that was a direct quote from Mrs. Clinton. And I would say, yes, Mrs. Clinton, if you see a turtle on a fence post, it didn't just get there by accident, meaning all of your disappearing emails, the use of BleachBit, the destroying of your devices, the establishment of a second email account. And, you know, Brian, look, we're not stupid. I don't know if the Clintons think we are or if the FBI thinks we are, but I think every American could put two and two together over July 4th weekend when they interviewed her on a Saturday. And then on the Tuesday after the holiday, we heard that there was going to be a press conference. I think we all knew, we didn't even have to hear the press conference to know that they were going to let her off. Because if you were being serious, you wouldn't interview a witness on a Saturday and exonerate them on Tuesday morning in time for them to get on a plane with President Obama to make a campaign appearance that afternoon. The timing was just a little too neat and a little too cute. And
well, I want to say, I wish you would, my opening monologue this morning, I wish you wouldn't have said bleach bit, because that sets me off. I read page 18. I read all 55 pages. I read every single page. She went into the mahogany, they call it the mahogany hallway or zone, that you have to leave every device, I read the whole thing, you have to leave every device at the door. Nobody's allowed in there with a device.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
And she walked in and, excuse me, these are my words, I think Hillary Clinton is running the, what I call, you don't understand who the hell I am campaign. That's it. I'm sorry, Jennifer, but that's just, to me, after reading this, the nerve of these people to just do, I don't want to get stuck there. Our time is limited. I think Donald Trump did an outstanding job in Detroit at that church, the black church in Detroit. I think he did an outstanding job there. What are you hearing from the campaign as far as how he was received and how the inner city communities are taking the Trump message?
Well, I can only speak for, you know, what I've been hearing, how the message was received in Georgia, and what, you know, it does from at the national level, the campaign, you know, we are discussing how well the message was received. And I think, you know, it was the right thing to do. And I get this question a lot from reporters in Georgia who are covering the Trump campaign. And they ask me questions about diversity and appealing to ethnic groups, African Americans, Hispanics, other groups. And, you know, can Trump reach these folks? Are we going to try to? And my answer is the same, and it's the same answer I would give to any American, no matter their race, creed, color, stripe, gender, what have you, is we want to earn every vote, period. Every vote matters. Every vote's important to us. We want to present our vision to every American voter and show every American voter that our vision is the best vision for their future, for their families, and for the country at large. And, you know, and that's very true and very heartfelt. And I think it was great that Mr. Trump went to Detroit and made an appeal to get our message out. And it was wonderful that the crowd gave us a fair hearing. The people in the church gave him a very fair hearing, and hopefully that resonated to some degree. But I have heard in the state from some of our African American leaders that the response was positive. So that is, you know, we're happy about that.
I want to ask you, have you met yourself? Have you ever met Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson yourself?
You know, I'm trying to think. You know, I used to work at Fox News, and I can't remember if maybe I met him when I worked in Washington.
The reason I say that is he's an outstanding quality individual. I mean, just everything about Dr. Ben Carson, and I don't want to get down this rabbit trail, but what was said to him by Chris Wallace this weekend very much disappointed me, and the comment that Chris Wallace made to him this weekend. Hillary took 2 minutes. Rudy Giuliani has taken a lot of heat for discussing her health or questioning the possibility that Hillary may have some health issues. We learn in this, things we already knew, but we learned in this FBI information that was released that the bump on the head, I can't recall. So we see her referring to the concussion on many of her answers or some of the reasons why she can't recall some things. But really, Giuliani has taken a lot of heat for even discussing her health. Yesterday, we see in Cleveland, 2 minutes. Took her 2 minutes. She went into a coughing fit.
It was 4 minutes, wasn't it?
Was it 4? I don't know. I mean, It may have been 4 minutes. I agree, but and then she says she gets all choked up when she just thinks about Donald Trump. She tried, but she went into quite a coughing fit for 4 minutes. What is the campaign? I mean, what are you getting from New York, the national campaign, or what are you guys hearing concerning Hillary?
You never want to, if someone has a health issue, you never want to try to, be insensitive to that or callous. I mean, I think there certainly is a concern that maybe there is, something going on there, because not only did she have the coughing jag, these coughing jags visibly appear to happen quite a bit. It happened dramatically, yesterday, and then she had it again when she was trying to talk to the press, and she had to stop, and she said she was going to return. So that's at least twice that we know of in one day. And so on one hand, I think those of us who are watching, like all Americans, have concern. And, we certainly wish Secretary Clinton well with her health. Nobody wants, anything bad to come of anyone health-wise. So I think there's a concern, just as human beings, that she's okay. But, on the other hand, she is trying to audition to be commander-in-chief, and she is auditioning to be the leader of the free world. And Americans have the right to know the complete sort of health prognostications of each of the candidates, and that will inform their decisions in November.
I couldn't agree more, because we've always heard a heartbeat away from the presidency, and realistically, if a heartbeat away from the presidency is Tim Kaine or Mike Pence, I know my choice, and I think the health is important. I don't want to be negative on somebody's health issue, just like you said. I don't want to say anything negative where that's concerned, but when you're auditioning for commander-in-chief, Trump has a big week scheduled, national security speech, obviously. Good week coming out, starting after everybody's paying attention. They say now everybody's paying attention after Labor Day. National security speech. What is coming up this week for the Trump campaign?
So just like you said, Mr. Trump is going to be in Philadelphia on Wednesday, and he is going to be giving a very substantial national security speech and speech relating to the military, his vision for our defense. And we are announcing some great news today that we've had 88 retired U.S. generals and admirals endorse Mr. Trump and his candidacy. And, some of them like Thomas McInerney, Hugh Smith, Donald Thompson, a lot of Joe Arbuckle, a lot of very well-respected names within the military community, very decorated heroes of the United States have all put their name behind Mr. Trump. And we're all very grateful and very excited about that.
Well, Jennifer, before we leave, and we got to go, and I know you have a lot more set up today, but before we leave, I want to ask you, what kind of response are you getting from the local level for the campaign? And I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. Today, Gilmer County will have, they had a ribbon cutting last week. They'll have actually their grand opening. Gilmer County will have their grand opening, the Republican Party Trump campaign headquarters here. They had one 2 weeks ago in Fannin County. What are you seeing on the local level of Georgia, and how enthusiastic your local counties that you're dealing with are?
We're getting a huge amount of support. So it's really been going well. So the state party and the county chairs are all being incredibly supportive. We're very grateful for that. They're there to help us at every turn, and then we in turn help them as much as we can as well. We've got a huge amount of support also from New York at National Campaign Headquarters. And it just seems like we're really firing on all cylinders right now. It seems like everyone is united in our goal. We're all moving in the same direction, and it feels good.
Well, Jennifer, we thank you very much. We noted here on Good Morning from the Office that the poll numbers started to close in, and Trump started closing the gap on Hillary when you came on board. We wrote that down. Okay, so we got that. We thank you so much, and we appreciate it. And please come back anytime with us and keep us updated on what's going on around Georgia and the Trump campaign.
I will, and say hi to my pal Lonnie for me.
Oh, Lonnie. Oh, Lonnie. Yes. No teaming up. Okay, hi, Lonnie. All right, Lonnie, Jennifer said hello. Jennifer, you have a great day and you come back anytime,
Hey.
all right? We want you to come visit up here. Lonnie, let's go. We're going to take a brief break right now. We'll be back, and when we return, George and I will wrap up the final half hour here in the morning. George will have some final thoughts, and we'll close up. I'm your host, BKP. You've been watching Good Morning from the Office. Lonnie, take us a break.